How do I help my boyfriend to be more comfortable with my financial lifestyle? First, let me say up front that none of this is coming from a place of me expecting him to finance my lifestyle. I told him from day one that I don't expect him to pay for things that I consider me things, hair, clothes, spa, etc. Nor do I expect him to pay any of my bills. By way of background, I, 33F, come from a very privileged family. I work a high-paying job, and if I really wanted to retire or take a very long break from working, I can do that without any impacts to my lifestyle. It wasn't always like this. When I was young, I didn't even have my own bed. My parents worked 6 jobs between the two of them and eventually started an outstandingly successful business. I remember what it was to struggle, and I am acutely aware that the norm that I live now is not the norm for most people on the planet. I try to always be mindful of that. My boyfriend's 30M background is the exact opposite. His family struggled all of their lives, and he has shared a few heartbreaking stories, such as his dad collecting soda cans to make sure he had lunch money for school. My boyfriend worked very hard, went to college and postgrad, and is in a very good career in his field. We have been together for almost 2 years, and over that time I have noticed that he has certain reactions to money and wastefulness that sometimes makes me worried about the long-term prospects of our relationship. The first time it happened, he was angry at me because I did not cut open the tube of toothpaste to get the very last scrape of it. My boyfriend, who never gets angry, was screaming at me over it. I was so taken aback by his reaction that I had to leave the house for a few hours to process his reaction. Another time, I was craving takeout and I accidentally ordered an extra appetizer that cost an extra $10. I shrugged my shoulders and just wrote it off as my mistake. He, however, went ballistic at me about the wastefulness of it. I couldn't believe that he was that upset about it because he wasn't even the one paying for the food, I was. Now that things have been opening up more, I really want to do a lot of the couple-wide date things that we missed out on because of COVID. However, I am growing more concerned that we will have to miss out on those things because he isn't comfortable with the costs. It doesn't matter if we are splitting the cost or if I am paying for the whole thing. There is an annual event in my city that I go to every year that I really want him to experience, however it is costly. Even on a budget, it could easily cost the two of us about $500 to be there for a few hours. I worry that he will flat out say no and I will either have to miss out or go alone. I was prompted to post today because I was sharing my concerns about the event with my mother. She told me that I should not deprive myself of anything I want because of how he feels about how I choose to spend my money. I agreed with that sentiment. She then made a dismissive comment about how the event is not expensive and there was no reason to make a fuss over it. On that note, I reminded her that what is accessible for us is not accessible for most and that we need to be considerate of that. I also told her that he probably feels like an outsider in our environment and needs time to feel comfortable. I understand where his emotions are coming from when it comes to money and I respect them. I even admire aspects of his thriftiness and personal discipline. Equally, I worry that I will have to deprive myself of many of the things that I want because of his reactions to their costs. With such a huge disparity in our backgrounds, is there any way I can help him feel more comfortable with my financial reality? Too long did not read. Boyfriend comes from less privileged background. Girlfriend wants him to become more comfortable in her environment. Edit. I want to make very clear that he is not telling me what to do with my money or stopping me from spending how I see fit. The issue is that he feels guilt when he isn't economical or spending on things for the sake of pleasure. The comments about abuse are incredibly myopic because 99% of the time this is a happy and healthy relationship. That 1% left over is simply a challenge I would like to find common ground on. He needs to speak with someone about his extreme reaction. Screaming at a person over the last bit of toothpaste is way over the top. Regardless of background, he should not feel the need to control or make you adopt his ideals. He's got trauma. He probably got screamed at for the toothpaste thing too when he was a kid. People like your boyfriend, even if they come from less money, they don't scream. He needs help, and if he's not gonna do that and continue to treat you like that, then you should leave because nobody deserves that level of disrespect. My husband grew up dirt poor, sleeping on the floor, went through the foster system and was homeless as an adult. He has never once screamed at me about wasting things in his eyes, and he gets anxious over money. My husband has gone to therapy to make sure he isn't like that. You need to flat tell him he either gets help, stops being that way with you, or it's over. It will only get worse if he doesn't seek treatment and actually works towards getting better. And your mom is right, don't deprive yourself because of him. If you feel you have to, then it's best to end the relationship than walk on eggshells. While I'm not sure how to give advice, I will say this. You can't help someone who isn't open to being helped. I wouldn't stay with him unless he gets therapy. My boyfriend was screaming at me over it. He went ballistic at me. You need to break up and he needs to go to therapy. This is abuse. You're spending a lot of time justifying and excusing his awful behavior. Trauma does not give him the right to be abusive. I am shocked as to why you are still with this man. He has and will continue to treat you terribly and he refused to go to therapy. If you had a friend with a significant other who regularly was very verbally abusive and super controlling, no matter that person's background, what would you tell them? You can't make him less abusive. My boyfriend has been cheating on me for a year. This is going to be a long post, sorry. Last night after work, my boyfriend, 22, I'm 20, who I've been with for a year and 2 months went out to grocery shop. On the way home I received a text message from his childhood friend and former roommate, who he lived with prior to moving in with me a couple weeks ago, saying that she and him had been having sex the entire time he lived there. Since November of 2020. I confronted him about it and he said yes, they'd been having sex. He said it happened one time when they were drunk, and then it became a thing. I could have forgiven it once, if it had happened when he was drunk and then the next day he messaged me and told me everything. But to keep it going all of this time. To deliberately do this and not tell me, and according to her keep her from telling me as well. I just feel so sick. I have been physically ill all night and all morning since I found out. I wasn't able to go to work today. I asked him why and he said I don't know. I asked him how many times and he said I don't know. I spent hours pouring my heart out and he took it in silence. No, nothing. Just staring at me with this dead look on his face. I asked him if he was ever going to tell me. He said I don't know. I asked him what he thought was going to happen. He said exactly how I was reacting now. All this time. He's done so much to gain my trust. He put my fingerprint into his phone. He reassured me constantly saying he was mine and mine alone. I felt so loved. But it was all fake. Because all this time, the whole time he's been with her, it's been weird. She's been so mean to me. And it's felt so much like he was putting her before me. And he said he wasn't. And he kept saying he wished we could get along, even though every time I tried to reach out she treated me like crap. I felt like I was at fault. I felt like I was being dumb. But I wasn't. He was fucking her that entire time. And she was jealous when he'd spend time with me. It all makes sense now. I let him take my virginity not even a week ago and then I find this out. I am so disgusted by him. And her. And myself. He says he still wants to be with me, that he loves me. But if he felt that way, why would he do this to me? Why would he do this to us? I thought we were happy. I thought I made him happy. All I wanted was to love him and have a good life with him. And now everything is ruined. And broken. And I just don't know what to do. I hate him so much. But I love him too. I want him to hold me, but when I see his face I want to projectile vomit all over him. Should I give him a chance to stay and try to forgive him? A small part of me wants to. But I also feel like a dumbass for even considering that because I feel like I don't even know who he is anymore. How could I ever trust anything he says again? I have always hated lies so much. Even the smallest ones. Because it's like, if you don't care to lie on a tiny scale, then what's to stop you from lying so hugely? I've struggled with trust issues so much in our relationship. But I finally let him into me when he moved here. It felt like that was him proving he loved me. He asked me to marry him for fuck's sake. I just don't understand how a person can do these things and expect no consequences. Why is it okay for men to hurt women like this? Should I tell him to leave? I don't deserve this kind of treatment. No one does. I know some couples can get over something like this, but it hurts so much. I don't know if I could. I don't know if he even deserves my forgiveness because I know he doesn't deserve my love, and I loved him so much. I adored him and worshipped the ground he walked on. He was my whole world. I've been in love with him since I was 15 years old. I thought he felt the same. Everything is just ruined now. And I don't know what to do. He gets home from work in an hour, and I don't know what to tell him. Do I say goodbye? Do I let him stay and pretend like he hadn't been fucking her all of that time? What do I do? It may be painful for you, but drop that DCK like a mic. He won't change, and even going through the pain of a breakup is nothing compared to the emotional subterfuge and coercion. Toss him out, cut her off. They both had a million chances to fix this, and it's way beyond saving. You've been obsessed since you were a kid, so it's hard to just step away, but you would advise anyone you care about to get out right now, so you owe it to yourself to do the same. Best of luck in these trying times. What you should be worried about is not even the fact that he was fucking this other girl, but the fact that he so easily lied to your face about it. Every single day. I don't know how you can rebel that into a trusting relationship going forward. Drop him like a hot potato, and make an appointment for an STI test. Dump this lying, cheating ass. Even now that you know he isn't doing anything positive. Just saying, I don't know, he's waiting for you to make all the decisions. Decide you are worth more than this. Tough. Well, you must ask yourself how you feel. I sense some sort of insecurity in your post. You're debating on leaving this man after he's been adamantly cheating on you? Like not just a one-time incident, but an ongoing thing. And he admits it like he's not very concerned about you? That's what I gauged from this. Yeah. I cheated on you. Happened this many times. Oopsie. I'm not sure what you look like, what your status is, how old you are, etc., but it sounds like you feel if you leave him, it'll be hard to find someone else. If you ask me, I think it's time to dump him and focus on yourself. Unless, of course, you don't mind him sleeping with other women. Because if you stay with him, he's going to keep doing the same thing because he knows you won't leave. Good luck. I think you answered your own question op. Imagine if you get back together with him. How will you trust anything he ever says again? How will you ever be able to lovingly look at him again knowing he doesn't give two shits about hurting you? He still doesn't even have any remorse that he has completely broken your heart. He's shown you he's capable of betraying you over and over and over again. And he has no problem lying to you or cheating on you. There's nothing to salvage here. He completely ruined the relationship. If he cared about keeping you, he wouldn't have done this. You can continue to date him if you want, but I think you know that you'll never be able to be happy with him or trust him again. He didn't just cheat, he created 3 false relationships for you. The one with him, the one with his ex-roommate, and the one with your own instincts. And while she was being snide to you, he lied about why. I wish you two could get along. What? He knew exactly why it was happening and let it continue. This guy is not safe to be around. How do I tell my flatmate why he can't get a girlfriend without giving him an existential crisis? My F20s flatmate, M30s, hasn't had a girlfriend since he was 15 years old. He's been bugging me about helping him get a girlfriend ever since we moved in together 6 months ago, and I can no longer keep my mouth shut about why he can't get a girlfriend. Basically, the guy is textbook nice guy. He looks down on women and disregards their feelings, opinions, including my own. Every time I make a statement, he starts an argument with me, and he generally disagrees with me in everything. Even though it's obvious that I'm right. We have shit Wi-Fi because he wouldn't listen to me. I literally work for the fucking internet company and it's my job to improve people's Wi-Fi. Next to that, he gives of this general creepy vibe. He talks to himself and objects. The other day he greeted his new couch, told the couch how he liked how it came home with him. I swear I'm not making this up. And I honestly believe he likes to listen whenever my boyfriend and I have sex. Boyfriend has mixed feelings about coming over after we caught him kinda listening at the door when we were having sex. He also went on a Tinder date with a 19-year-old girl a couple weeks back. This guy is in his early 30s. Then there's the weird comments he makes. He generally refers to women as chicks and gals. Every time he takes a shit, he apparently has to announce it. Same goes for whenever he goes manscaping, as if I want to hear it when he goes and shaves his junk, and so on. There's a lot more, but I'm worried he might find this post and recognize himself, so I'm going to leave a lot of details, stories out of this. I can completely understand why no girl in her right mind, or even her wrong mind, would date this guy. He tries with every single girl he meets, even openly talks about how he wants to date them all, and all of them reject him. Mainly because he goes after these girls that are way out of his league. His whole personality is just the weird, creepy and derogatory behavior. I don't want to help this guy get a girlfriend. I don't think he even deserves a girlfriend in his current state of misogyny. So how do I tell him gently that he needs to work on himself before I will help him get a girlfriend, without breaking down his entire personality? And should I even tell him, or should I just say I won't help him get a girlfriend? ETA. I just woke up to a lot of helpful replies, and I want to thank you all for your thoughtful comments. I'm going to take the time to read them all and maybe reply to them. But first I'd like to elaborate on how we ended up living together, since a lot of people said I should move out because he sounds crazy. This guy is one of my ex's best friends. I've known him for over 6 years and we've been in the same friend group for around 5 of them. Half of the group knows him since 8th grade. He was always the quiet guy and he just started coming out of his shell about a year ago. That's when we started hanging out more and when we decided we both needed a new place to live. I don't think he's scary. I mostly think he's simple and doesn't understand social cues or social behavior at all. And the misogyny, I agree that's an issue. For the person who thought it was weird that this guy in his 30s still needs a roommate. Come live in my city, the weather's nice and the houses are extremely scarce and fucking expensive. I will take time to respond to everyone's comments, and since this isn't exactly blowing up I feel a little bit more comfortable sharing some more details in the comments. Scrap the whole telling this guy stuff. Why on earth are you living with this dude? Sounds like an existential crisis may be in order. Honestly, I'd leave it well alone until you don't have to live with him. Then you can leave him a very blunt letter outlining how he comes across. His asking you constantly about how to get a girlfriend is his way of coming on to you. Dude is creepy AF, and he has somehow gaslighted you into normalizing his behavior. He's definitely pushing his boundaries with you, seeing how far he can go and how much you'll tolerate. Get the fuck out. Find a new place to live, before he somehow guilts you into giving him a mercy fuck. Your focus should be on finding a new place to live, not easing his life. I am a guy and what he did, listening at the door, would be a very serious event. He's been bugging me about helping him get a girlfriend. He looks down on women and disregards their feelings, opinions, including my own. Don't sugarcoat anything. Give him an existential crisis, it might be the wake-up call he needs. Just deflect, play dumb, change the subject, and plan your move to a new flat ASAP. You don't need to listen to him complain about being single, you can shut that down the second it starts, but I don't think being honest with him will do anything but make your life harder. He's not going to welcome any feedback that involves him changing, and you don't want to be stuck living with a creepy misogynist who is now angry and blaming you for his lack of success with chicks. He absolutely sounds like the type to shoot the messenger. You cut the incel in training loose is what you do, holy shit. Do you run a red pill rescue or something, because this guy has some personality traits that are troubling. Why would you put yourself through any of this? It's not even like he's a decent person, he's just ew. My 28 male wife, 29 female, calls me a disgusting loser for working from home. Throwaway account, blah blah blah. First off, apologies if this comes across as a rant. I seriously feel like I have nowhere else to turn. Ever since the pandemic, we've found ourselves stuck in the house 24/7 together, along with our 1-year-old son. Like everyone else around the world, I've been working from home since the pandemic. I've found myself stuck in the house, at the dining table with my laptop. I have been called a disgusting loser with no friends and no hobbies recently, and it really has hurt my feelings. She's even been nitpicking about other small things that she doesn't like about me, such as a minor health problem with athlete's foot that keeps coming and going. I will book a doctor's appointment when I get the opportunity, but I haven't had the chance. To try and resolve the problem of me being home 5 days a week, I found a new employer in the middle of COVID and gave up a very stable 2.5-year history job I had that will be doing 2 days in the office and 3 days at home from next month. Shock, horror. It's still not good enough. I wish you were in the office 5 days a week, I'm sick of you. For loads of you who have had experience with young children, you'll know that 1-year-old babies, toddlers are overly attached to their mother. She's also used that against me, saying that I don't have a bond with our son and why does he prefer her, and apparently everyone else, over me. To add to this shitstorm, her mother from overseas, who can't speak any English, is currently over here and has experienced all this crap unfolding. Last night, I found myself leaving the house at midnight, going to the nearest corner shop and buying a pack of cigarettes to calm my mood. All this whilst calling my mother explaining the issues we have been facing. FYI, my mum is totally on my side and I have her full support. Wife finds out that I've been speaking to my mother and calls me pathetic for calling my mum for support. The next morning, I write a very long text message to my wife's mother and put it through Google Translate, explaining why we were arguing and all the shit that's gone down, along with a big apology. I get left on read and she's now being socially awkward around me. Honestly, what the fuck do I do? How do I approach her? Personally, I think this might be some sort of long-term hormonal depression after having a baby that's causing my wife to be really damn out of order towards me. This has nothing to do with working from home. I can't imagine this happens in a silo though. She sounds like an asshole, but did this come out of left field or have you been arguing, dealing with insults for quite some time? It honestly sounds like she's checked out here, and the fact that you're around constantly is making it all come to a head. The pandemic has led to a marked increase in divorce and babies. Conventional wisdom would say you should sit down and have a conversation and see if she even wants to improve this relationship, even doing couples counseling. But she sounds awful and you seem miserable, so you might want to talk to a lawyer to understand your options. Me and my husband, both 28, also have a 1-year-old and my husband works from home and has done since March 2020 while I've been on maternity leave. My husband works in cybersecurity and I'm a college lecturer. I'm absolutely delighted he is working from home. I love that he's around the house and can see our daughter and help with meals during the day. I go back to work soon and honestly the last 14 months have been a dream come true for me. I'd maybe suggest you and your wife try couples counseling or something similar because I can't really understand her point of view and she must have some deeper reasoning. This is a toxic relationship. No one should speak to their partner, or anyone, like that. You shouldn't take the blame here. She is verbally abusive. I know it's not as easy to just up and leave as most here are suggesting, but even though I don't know you, I know you deserve better than that. No one should be treated like that. In regards to the athlete's foot, if she says sort that out immediately. Resentment is bad enough, but we don't want the missus having disgust for you. Will only go darker. You are married to a toxic abuser who is also leeching off you by using you as a sponsor to be in the country. 1. Get a doctor for your foot. 2. Put extra effort to bond with your son and take care of his needs without her help. 3. Get a lawyer and figure out how to initiate a divorce that will likely get you custody of your son, especially if it's the difference between them being in another country versus staying in your country as a citizen. 3. Stop sponsoring her. 4. Record everything that happens and be ready to counter false allegations with evidence. 5. Work wherever you damn please. You are suffering of abuse on her part. Stop this. Talk to her and ask her to cease this behavior. Counseling for her is mandatory. Is there more to the story? I mean, the athlete's foot thing is a major red flag. Athlete's foot is largely a sign of poor hygiene and personal care. Are you not wearing fresh socks or doing laundry regularly? I don't think it's right to throw out person insults constantly because that is a sign of a toxic relationship, but functioning adults don't regularly contract athlete's foot regularly, especially when they are mostly at home. You put long complex message through Google Translate? That's, well, dumb. Let me explain by example. English whatever language you need back to English and now read that fucking mess. You can only use Google Translate for single words, otherwise, language will be butchered into oblivion. How long is that you can't fix that athlete's foot? Sounds like it's been months, because I do get a whiff of slobbery. If my house would stink of dirty feet I'd be pissed off too. Everything else might be postpartum as it sounds quite a bit unreasonable, or maybe you just do 1,000 little things wrong and they add up.